the struggle for survival is one thing that has always been a part of man's makeup. The desire to live a good and comfortable life, have enough to eat, and also be able to afford the basic amenities of life is one thing that cannot be overemphasized. For this reason, people are willing to do anything just to survive and make ends meet. But what happens when such money-making activities begins to interfere with the society and also turn around to affect the very people that are involved in such activities? Today, we take a look at one of such activities. It is street trading. Welcome to Indepth. I am your host, Priska Wongo. Nigeria, the most populous black nation in the world with an estimated population of over 170 million people, is endowed with abundant human and material resources like oil, tin, limestone, zinc, natural gas, good vegetation, and climate, which varies from being equatorial in the south, tropical in the center, and in the north. This great country, Nigeria, the third world largest producer of crude oil, has about 5.3% annual growth rate, but it's estimated that 70% of Nigerians live in poverty. The above features are legacies of prolonged military rule, coupled with mismanagement and corruption of civilian governments, which have daily impoverished the people and made them beggars of a sort amidst plenty. This act of misrule has increased antisocial behaviors amongst the populace. Sadly, the quest for material wealth at all costs has introduced a new dimension of wealth creation into the psyche of Nigerians, and one of such is street trading. Street trading is the art of engaging in the buying and selling of goods and services in such a manner, and particularly in undesignated and unauthorized centers by traders and their customers. It is about displaying and marketing of goods and articles by traders who use the public highways and roadside to sell. It is often undertaken outside enclosed premises or covered workspaces such as streets, pavements, corners, sidewalks, and by main transport nodes such as railway stations, bus stops, lorry parks, construction sites, and around sports complexes. The traders use different structures including tables, racks, wheelbarrows, handcarts, and bicycle seats to display their wares. Some traders simply carry their goods and commodities on their heads and also shoulders, while others hang their commodities on walls, trees, and fences. Some may construct temporary shades with stands for displaying their goods on the streets. The number of traders along a given street varies depending on the time of day or the season of the year. Some vendors only sell in the morning, afternoon, or evening, while some sell only during certain seasons. Following the continued downturn of the economy and lack of new opportunities for the employment of the teeming number of youths in the country, there have been an upsurge in the army of street traders in our major cities. The most visible features along streets of many Nigerian cities are hawkers. Almost anything one can imagine is hawked in traffic snaps, ranging from computer/phone accessories to food, refreshments, household, and fashion items. There have also been a great increase in the number of beggars, including women who hire infants to solicit for alms in the traffic. Sometimes hoodlums and armed robbers find it easy to mingle with the crowd to dispossess people of their belongings, especially during the wee hours of the day. Street trading in Nigeria, especially in our towns and big cities in recent times, have become one of the menaces social and commercial activities of some people in both traditional and modern Nigerian societies. Certain areas are reserved as centers for commercial activities, but today what we find is wanton blockade of major streets and centers meant for other purposes by traders who with impunity and effrontery engage in their businesses without due consideration for other road users or the health implications of their action. Centers like Ojuelegba in Lagos State or Dugbe in Oyo State, to mention but a few, have been notorious for acts of street trading over time. Street and roadside trade is an economic activity that sustains a significant percentage of urban dwellers. It is considered as small and micro enterprises (SME) that form the main thrust for economic development in developing countries. In Nigeria, it is a source of employment whereby many of its citizens make a legitimate means of livelihood. However, there are several social and environmental problems associated with the operations of street trading. Such problems emanate either as a result of the practice or as a consequence of the business.
Street hawking has prevailed in Africa as a component of our underdevelopment. It is indeed most abhorrible, particularly where it has to do with unleashing little kids of school age on the streets for economic purposes. Now, that's most destabilizing. It is ridiculous because it exposes the children to all kinds of hazards. To begin with, if our society were properly ordered, then all children who are of school age should be in school. It doesn't matter whether their parents can afford education or not. One of the components of our underdevelopment is the fact that many children who are of school age can't be in school because they haven't got relations who can fund their education. Now, that's a crisis. And the outcome of that crisis is that they still unleash that deprivation on the society. Because if you have a teeming population of children who are of school age and who have not been exposed to any kind of education, they turn back to become devastating terrors to society. Indeed, the climax of this should be seen in northern Nigeria, where literally millions of children of school age are not made available and are not provided educational facilities, and they take to all kinds of terrorist activities. So to begin with, street hawking should have been banned a long time ago. It's a vital component of our underdevelopment and primitiveness. It reminds us that we are an underdeveloped society, a primitive society. In fact, it should have been banned a long time ago. One of the striking factors is economic distress. The fact, for instance, that a couple would give birth to about 9-10 children, and they haven't got the financial means to give them requisite education. As soon as these children are able to move about, they become instruments for economic gain for the family. And so you find little children from the ages of 6, 7, and up to 17, 18, 20 who are unleashed to the streets in street hawking. Yes, the primary driving force is economic, but it should not be. Children of school age should be in school. Now, for that reason, young ladies at that tender age are exposed to all kinds of sexual violation. So it's criminal. It's indeed criminal to unleash children on the streets for economic purposes. A number of things can be done. Number one, fundamentally, parents should be made to recognize their responsibility to their children. So they should realize in the first instance that they ought only to have the number of children they can comfortably take care of in the first instance. And then, secondly, it is the primary responsibility of our society, and it's acknowledged in all developed societies, that it is the responsibility of society to give education to children. Because if society fails in this responsibility, society receives the reverberating impact of this failure. These children take to all kinds of criminal tendencies, and then we invest the larger proportion of our earnings fighting crime, whereas we create the crime by our failure to give children requisite education and training. Parents should give that to children that they can take care of, but then society, government must rise up to the responsibility of giving our children requisite education and training so they can be useful to society and not become terrors to society.
It is a very bad development to send our children who's supposed to be in school to the street to work, because we are affecting their future. Directly, not indirectly this time around, because without education, proper education, no person will make it in this life. Education is key to every other thing you will do in life. It's the foundation that will sustain any other thing. Because you will be, like now I'm a lawyer. It's because I went to school. The foundation has been laid. Even in agriculture and other areas, that's why we are suffering in this country on the issue of agriculture, because we don't have well-trained manpower in that area. People still use crude implements to farm. But if you have well-groomed agriculturists, well-trained, educational-wise, they use mechanized. The issue of food production will be easier. And they will even see it as a good thing. They won't see it as the humanizing profession. Because like in other parts of the world today, where we have well-groomed, well-trained agriculturists, they are the people that hold the key to the economy of the nations. But in Nigeria today, if you call somebody a farmer, it seems you are looking down on that person, because we have not actually given them the requisite knowledge on that area. So education of children is very important. So to allow them to wallow in the street is to tamper with their future, and they will not make it. To expose a young person, somebody below the age of responsibility, somebody below 18 years, some of them is even below 10 years. They'll be in the street hawking. Maybe a female child. What do you think about that child? You expose her to danger of rape. So that is a very serious issue. We should not allow the future of the children just like that to waste, and allow them to be exposed to danger like that. Like other younger ones, male folk, from there they form gang. They'll be observing the bad behavior of some of the armed robbers in the street, because they will have access to them. Some of them, those armed robbers will recruit them and train them and use them in the future. So it's a very bad development. They should not allow such in life of our children, to give them future that they will be proud of. You have to take them to school. It helps to spoil our children. It makes the environment untidy and dirty. Because those items they sell, the people that patronize them, they dispose them indiscriminately. Because they don't have organized area to do the business. Whatever you buy from them, whatever waste generated from it, you drop it anywhere. And they block the roads. When you get to some streets, they will even crowd the gutter, block the road. They cause nuisance here and there. So it have a negative effect on the society.
Every society that wants to grow, if you want to have a future, you don't leave your children to street trading and and hawking, because many of them, the time they are hawking is the time they should be in school. Not that hawking is totally bad. When you are in recess or holidays, depending on the family makeup, the family background, a child can hawk at certain areas, but not during school period. When the school is in session, people that are supposed to be in school, the children that are supposed to be in school will be hawking. It is totally bad, which means that the manpower that we should train for future, is not being trained, it's being wasted. Because that hawking and all that makes them to be what we call premature breadwinners. The father and the mother are the breadwinners in the house. But when a child begins to hawk, the child has become also a breadwinner, and that is premature breadwinner, which is not acceptable. Because if he starts to be a breadwinner at the age of maybe 5, 10, 12, or 15, what is the future of that child? That child wouldn't have time to read, wouldn't have time to do anything. That's why you see this mass failure in JAMB, WAEC, and all that. And the street trading per se, occupies, it makes the road, it makes the road to look so dirty, unorganized, and there are so many hazards, because vehicles can run into them. In many places, like on Anambra State here, like some other states in Nigeria, you hear of opi worker. Sometimes you hear of trailer running into people that are trading on the road. You hear of vehicles running into people. So it is totally bad. It's not good. If you want to stop street trading, it's as simple as ABC. Because what you do is to develop a market. If you develop a market, usually we call it relief market. You develop a market, within the neighborhood. If you develop this market within the neighborhood, these people that are doing this street trading, selling banana, selling granite, selling oranges and all that, they move to that relief market. So if you want to buy something, any of these items, you move to that relief market and pick what you want. In Enugu, there is a place we call Artisan. That Artisan has been there for a very long time. If you need anything, vegetable, granite and all that, you go to Artisan and pick all these things. And they have another market or bed also. But what I'm saying is that it is easy. You develop a relief market within the neighborhood. If you can have the relief market in Oka, 4 or 5 places. The government can do it. It's not so much money. It's few acres of land, and it's done. People will move into that so that the road will be free. Because if you are trapped into this into any of these areas that are doing street marketing, you see that it's a terrible. You can stay there for hours. You can't go ahead. So that is the simple way to do that. Develop relief markets for the people, because they must do that. If they don't do it, they have to feed their families. If you develop the market, you say people shouldn't stay within the roads again. And the markets are, what you just say, from this date, people should move into that market. And you give it as an order. Place your security, control in those roads where they're doing the street market. And when they come, they see that these other Aswama, or I don't know their names, either these security agencies are there blocking those places. And they will be forced, they will be compelled to move to the relief market. So it's not, it's not difficult to do. Other people have done it in many places. Once you develop a market and compel people move to this market, and they go there and see that the markets are there, you organize it for them, and they will move.
The rate of unemployment in Nigeria is now so high that more than half of the population find it difficult to eke out a living. However, it is not enough reason for people to engage in activities that generate a lot of waste and distort the aesthetic image of the city in which they reside. Things should be done in a manner that it will not only benefit the people, but also the society in which they're living. Government should build affordable shops and provide space for the steaming number of street traders to do their trade, and ensure that they carry out their trade in those shops. That way, they can ensure that the issue of street trading is reduced to the barest minimum. I've been your host, Priska Wankwo, and this is Indepth.